Have you ever written a scene that should be the absolute best scene in your book, but somehow it doesn't turn out that way? Maybe it's the reveal of the big betrayal, or the confession, or the kiss, or the death, or the moment you've been building toward for hundreds of pages, and you finally get there. And instead of thinking, yes, this is it, you are thinking, why isn't this hitting harder? Why isn't this working? If your story isn't working, there's a good chance you're diagnosing the wrong problem, because most writers assume the problem is inside the scene, but usually it isn't. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine a story where a woman discovers her husband has been having an affair. This should be, right, one of the biggest scenes in the book, if that's what we've been building up to. So we write something like, "I know," she said. His face went pale. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Tears filled her eyes. "How long?" she whispered. She couldn't believe he had betrayed her. 20 years together, and now it was over. Okay, nothing is wrong with this scene. The stakes are huge. This is a big reveal. The emotions are high and obvious. The event matters a lot. But with this, readers aren't going to feel very much. But let's look at this different version of that same story. Let's get a little context here. So for 200 pages, we've watched her trust him, to defend him, to choose him. We've watched him become the safest thing in her world. And now we reach this confrontation. "I know," she said. His face went pale. For the first time in 20 years, she realized she didn't know what expression came next. She knew his tired face, his annoyed face, his amused face, the face he made when he brought her coffee every morning. But this one, this was a stranger's face, and somehow that hurt more than the affair. Okay, notice that I didn't change anything. The affair didn't get bigger. The emotion didn't get bigger. The betrayal didn't get bigger. But what changed was everything that came before it. And that is the real problem. Most scenes, in my experience, don't fail because of what is inside the scene. They fail because of everything leading up to it. Today, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you how to recognize that problem, why it happens, and how to fix it. This is part of my Diagnosing the Problem series, where we look beyond the symptoms within a story and figure out what is actually causing the issue on the page. Because quite often, the thing that we think is wrong really isn't the thing that's wrong. If we haven't met before, I'm Melissa Bourbon. I have written more than 35 novels across mystery and magical fiction. And over the years, I've noticed that when a scene isn't working, writers almost always revise the scene itself. We rewrite the dialogue, we increase the emotion, we raise the stakes, we make the moments bigger. But in my experience, often the problem isn't really the payoff, it's the setup. It's how we got there. Okay, how do we recognize the problem? Scenes that haven't been earned tend to create a very specific reaction. So readers will understand what's happening. They just don't feel the impact. It's like the last week's video on making sure there's meaning behind the emotion. So in books that you read, you might notice that a death scene may feel surprisingly unemotional, or a romantic payoff feels underwhelming, or a betrayal maybe doesn't hurt like you think it should, or a revelation doesn't shock anyone, or maybe readers describe a major scene as fine. That word is a clue, fine. It's not unforgettable. It's not powerful. It's just fine. That is not what we want to hear. So here's the misdiagnosis. Most writers assume that a scene needs more emotion, or that the stakes aren't high enough, or that the dialogue isn't strong enough. So they keep revising the moment itself, that moment itself that we feel is not powerful enough. But the scene is really doing what it's supposed to do. The real problem happened like 50 pages prior, or maybe 100 pages, or maybe, throughout the entire story. So it's that buildup that leads to the payoff, and that's what needs to be strengthened. Okay, here's my example from my cottage studio. We are finally at the exciting stage where the drywall is going up, the plumbing is finished, and for the first time, it feels like an actual room. If you drove by and looked inside, you'd probably think, oh, nice, drywall. Okay. That's fair. Drywall isn't exactly exciting, but for me, it is huge because I remember the empty shed. I remember the framing. I remember the electrical work and the insulation and the weeks when it looked like nothing was happening. Drywall isn't exciting because drywall is exciting. It's exciting because of everything that came before we got to that point. So that's the payoff. And if you skipped all those earlier stages and just walked into this finished room, it wouldn't have felt nearly as meaningful for me. So stories are exactly the same. Readers don't respond just to the payoff. What they're responding to is the payoff in relation or connection to the setup that you provided them. Let's look at what actually causes the problem. So most important scenes fail because they have not been earned. That payoff hasn't been earned. Readers need investment before they get to the payoff. They need emotional investment, relationship investment, expectation investment, conflict investment. The payoff only works when readers have something invested in it. Otherwise, they don't care. There's nothing to care about because they're not invested. Let's go back to one of my favorite examples. Sorry to those of you who are tired of hearing about the Hunger Games. But again, popular stories work for a reason because everybody knows them. Think about Katniss volunteering for Prim, taking Prim's place. If Prim appeared for the first time in that scene, would it work? I think not nearly as well. That moment matters because of everything we've already learned about their relationship. So the story in that moment earned that particular payoff. In Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth and Darcy finally getting together only works because readers have spent the entire novel watching them misunderstand each other, challenge each other, frustrate each other, try and change each other. Without that buildup, the ending wouldn't be satisfying at all. So the payoff and the amount of emotion depends on the setup. One of my sons, well, two of my sons work in the music industry. One of them, when I was in LA recently, took me to a show that he was music director for. And when we were in the audience, I realized something. The emotional moment of that show wasn't the performance itself. The emotional moment was everything I remembered while watching it. And I don't mean the show for everybody else, but for me personally, because it was remembering the little boy who used to make noise on every available surface and, like drum on the body, drumming on every part of the house. The years of practice, uncertainty, hard work, the risks, the change in path after the college degree, shifting to music, and the uncertainty that came with that because it's a difficult business, the risks, but the path that ultimately got him there. That performance was a huge payoff, but it only mattered to me because of everything that came before it. It mattered to him because of everything that came before it. We can't take these moments in isolation because they depend on what led up to those moments. And that is how the climax of a story works. The moment itself isn't the thing carrying the emotional weight. It's the history behind it. It's that buildup, that setup. It's what led the protagonist there. That's why we call it the resurrection in the hero's journey, because everything has led to this moment where the hero is able to now resurrect as this hero. Okay, let's look at this practically with some techniques. So first thing, work backwards. Take your biggest scene and ask yourself, what do readers need to believe before this moment happens? And then you want to go back and make sure that you have built that foundation. It's kind of like in a mystery. We have this big reveal, right? But if we haven't had fair play, if the author hasn't dropped the clues along the way and we feel like, oh, we could have gotten there ourselves, then the moment loses importance or impact. Okay, technique 2 is to create investment early on. Readers cannot care about losing something they never valued in the first place. So you want to create attachment before loss, or create trust before betrayal, or create hope before disappointment, right? You have to know what it means to be sad in order to understand that you're happy. It's that balance that's so important, and you need to help your reader have that understanding, that investment, so they can experience both sides of the scales or the spectrum. The third technique is to track the buildup. So ask yourself, have I been preparing readers for this payoff that I'm offering them right here? Not predicting it, but preparing for it. So there's a big difference. So again, you've got to go back and make sure that you have built up to this moment so that there is emotional investment in it for the readers. All right, here's a quick recap. If your most important scenes are not working, stop assuming that the problem is inside the scene and instead look at the setup, build investment, create anticipation, and earn the payoff, because scenes don't become powerful in isolation. They're not in a vacuum chamber. They become powerful because every single thing that leads up to them, you have prepared, you have created a foundation for those emotions. Readers don't remember scenes because they're big. They remember scenes because they've been waiting for them. The payoff, you guys, isn't the moment itself. The payoff is the relationship between the moment and every single thing that came before it that led to that moment. And that is what creates the impact. That is what creates emotion. That is what makes readers remember a scene long, long, long after they finish the book. Okay, how about some homework? This week's diagnostic question I have for you is this: what has my story done to earn this moment? So you want to pick the biggest scene in your manuscript and then work backward. What has the reader experienced that makes this payoff matter? Go back and make sure that you've built in all those experiences so that the reader cares about the payoff and they feel it. They get to the emotion because they have investment. If this kind of craft analysis helps you understand your writing more clearly, I hope it does. Please make sure you're subscribed. This series is all about diagnosing the real problem underneath the page so that revision and your writing process becomes a little simpler, a little clearer, and hopefully more effective. Next week, we're tackling why your character feels distant even in close POV. But last week, we talked about making sure there's meaning behind the emotion. So if you haven't seen that, make sure that you watch that next. This ties in directly to the big payoff and making sure that you build up to that payoff. Small moments shape the reading experience, you guys. So that's what this is all about.